Nation Live. I'm your man, James Owen, with my partner in crime, Sanders Tisdale. Topics for the show tonight, we're going to be our horrible home loss to the New York Jets 24-20 last Sunday, our upcoming game next Sunday in Orchard Park against the Buffalo Bills. We're also going to talk about cancer, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and salute to service as well. We're also going to talk about our special guest that's coming on the show, Renee Miller, and what's going down in Miami after this.
Audio Jungle.
Hey guys, welcome to Steeler Nation Live. Like he said, Sanders Tisdale, James
Owen.
Owen.
That's it.
Huge weekend, and the Steelers blew it, James. Blew it to the New York Jets. Jets came into Pittsburgh, and guess what? They jetted out of there with a win, James.
Yeah, they basically controlled the first half of the game. Out goes Trubisky, in comes Pickett. Changes the whole tone of the game. We go up by 10 points, 2 scores, and we end up losing. Not as bad as how the Cleveland Browns gave up the 2-score lead. They only had a minute and a half. We had like 10 minutes plus. So, anything can happen in football. But it's the Pittsburgh Steelers at home against the New York Football Jets. And it just, everybody wants the rock. Everybody wants the ball. I'm wide open. Throw me the ball. But then you get somebody who throws you the ball and you can't catch it. It's kind of hard. Positive notes that the team reacted great to change a quarterback. The offensive line seems like it's starting to gel. I mean, I don't want to use the term can't get any worse, but after watching this season, I'm pretty sure it could. But the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line has been going in the right direction. And it's just, we're still on that kick, Sanders and folks at home, about the coaching, the play calling. It's just not working. It's predictable. It's soft. It's vanilla. It's whatever you want to call it. Folks, give us a call, 585-210-3917. We want to hear your take on what's going on. And also coming up, folks at home, great guest, Renee Miller, neuroscientist from Rochester, New York, University of Rochester. And you're probably wondering, our show is great and fantastic. We could get anybody on this show, but what does she possibly have to offer? And you're going to find out when she calls. I'm not going to give away. You're going to have to wait, sit it out.
Yeah.
And wait till she calls in. It's going to be video, I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
She's going to call in video. You get to see her. Great person overall from, hometown hero, Rochester, New York. Speaking about heroes, it is, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, folks. And go out there and, buy your sweatshirts, buy your hats, buy your t-shirts, buy your terrible towels. All the money proceeds to the American Cancer Society. Salute to service. Salute your service members, your veterans, your active duty members, men and women out there who put in their life on the line so you could sleep safe at night. And go out there. I mean, it's great looking memorabilia, Sanders. I mean, all the money, I don't want to say all the money, but a great amount of the money, pretty much close to all of it, is going to each source. American Cancer Society, I believe, is 100%. All the money donated when you purchase something, Sanders, goes to them. And we all know somebody who's been touched by breast cancer. And unfortunately, we have friends, family, and we support them. And how can you support them, folks? Go out there, buy some memorabilia. Go on Steelers.com, the website /shop, and purchase your great attire, your Steeler attire. And folks at home, if you're not a Steeler fan and you're just watching the show, thank you for tuning in. You can buy your apparel as well, but we promote the Steeler apparel.
Yeah, like James said, you know what? We all know somebody that's in the military or was in the military, but the things about it is these are individuals who go out there and, like he said, they do a lot for our country, a lot to help us get the, where we sit here and do this broadcast to where you're afforded to do a lot of things that people can't do in other places. And these guys need to be congratulated whenever they get a chance. And not just beyond, the day they get like Veterans Day and things like that, but there's other ways that they need to be commemorated, and this is some of the ways that they do it. But James is saying that, and saying the fact that somebody needed protection. One of the teams that looked like they needed it on Sunday was the Pittsburgh Steelers from the New York Jets. Of all teams,
Right.
the New York Jets. How could this happen with New York Jets, a young team, Joe Flacco? Don't get it wrong now. Joe Flacco came in with a big, huge win against the Baltimore Ravens, I guess. Big, huge win. Granted, the Ravens don't have that much of a defense, but it was a come-from-behind win for the Jets. It was a huge win. And the fashion that they did it, coming behind late in the game, basically with no time left on the score, and scored the game. And guess what, James? They did it again to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Rookie quarterback comes in against Pittsburgh Steelers, and it wasn't like the New York Jets had some kind of, great offensive scheme or great defensive scheme. They just came in there. They did what they had to do. They made the plays. They did what they had to do to win a football game. They made more plays than we did. And unfortunately, at the end of the game, that we came out as losers. And it's unfortunate. We're starting the season 1-3, but yes, it's not looking any better, folks at home. We always try to be positive here at Steeler Nation Live. Check us out on our website, www.steelernationlive.net. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, all those fancy websites out there. You can check us out. Search us on YouTube, Steeler Nation Live 201. If you want to check out our past shows and how we began and how we started and how we got to where we are right now. But it goes to show the game plan the Pittsburgh Steelers have. And going into, like we said earlier, Sanders, it's so predictable and it's so mellow and it's so, there's really nothing surprising about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. We have receivers who get open, don't get the ball. We have running backs who not getting the yards that they should. Najee Harris, I don't think he's going to last too long in Pittsburgh, as long as he's our bell cow and he keeps on being used and abused as he is now with Jaylen Warren coming in and filling, the spots. He could be a 3-down running back as well. We don't want to fail to mention that Chris Boswell still hangs in there as one of the predominant scorers of the Pittsburgh Steelers with his record field goal kick, 59 yards at Acrisure Stadium / Heinz Field, whatever you want to call it. But when you go into a game, Sanders, with the basic offense, you're not going to come out there winning. And we have to learn. And I think the reason why we didn't close that game out, because I can't remember this season where the Pittsburgh Steelers actually had a lead that they had to hold on to. I think we've had to come back from everything except Cleveland. We won that game in overtime. With that being said, I don't think the Steelers can. We play not to lose. We don't play to win. Yeah. And you could see, Sanders, how that affects our record, 1-3. And the next 4 games. All right, let's think about it. We're in Buffalo next week. Then we come home for Tampa Bay. Then we go to Miami. And then from Miami, we go to Philly. And then we have a bye.
Yeah.
So right now, with that being said, we could end up going to the bye possibly 1-7.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the crazy thing, man. And if you look at it, like I said, I don't want to take anything away from the New York Jets. Like I said, they're a young team that's up and coming. I think they're going to give that division a lot of problems. And not just that. I think in the fact that the whole division that they're in, with Buffalo right now spearheading the charge right now, being the leaders right now, because they're the most complete team in that division. But the fact is their team's just right on their heels. Of course, we talked offline a little bit about, you got the Miami Dolphins, who are kind of right now, who knows what's going to happen with their institution, with the fact of the way with Tua getting hurt on national TV. And we talked offline a little bit about that. But I believe that division is going to be a tough division for years to come. They got some young guys that's coming in there, young guys that's doing a lot of things. But the fact with the Steelers in their division, the Steelers have to jump on every opportunity they can to win. And right now, the Steelers got huge games coming up. And this game that they fell to the Jets did nothing but hamper their positions of trying to get out of that hole. And right now, James, a lot of people are saying out there, the fact that this might be Tomlin's first losing season in 15 years.
Yeah, I think it has to attribute to the stubbornness. But then again, you're the coach. You can't have your fans dictate how you're going to run the team. Hopefully, that you have, your players step up and do what they're supposed to do and play the game they're supposed to play. And unfortunately, that's not what the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting right now. Now, we signed Mitch Trubisky. He's not. Let's get it straight, folks. We all know that he's not the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's why he drafted Kenny Pickett. Okay. But with that being said, Trubisky has the opportunity to fail. He's just like Rudolph was given the opportunity to fail. It's not like they gave him one chance, whatever. They gave him multiple opportunities to fail. And you know what? Nothing against Mitch Trubisky. He went out there and he tried his best. But unfortunately, his best wasn't good enough. So we got to go with Pickett. Now, right now, as it stands, the Pittsburgh Steelers will have the 5th draft pick next year in the draft. And as we continue to fall with these losses, that draft cachet is going to keep on getting better and better. But I mean, I don't want to throw the season out right now. I mean, we have a lot of football to go. And there's a lot of optimism coming out of Pittsburgh, even with a 1-3 record. Now, getting back to the AFC East, the Bills and Miami are both tied at 3-1. And we have the Patriots in the bottom of that division, and the Jets are right there 2-2. So it used to be like the AFC North, how the Steelers and the Ravens and the Bengals used to be, so tight knit with the record, and the Browns are always in the basement. And then the Browns come up one year and it's just a mess there. You look at our division, it's just a crapshoot right now. We're 1-3, but we're still a game out of first place. Like I said, a lot of football left, Sanders. A lot of football left to play.
Yeah.
And our schedule is not looking any better than our record right now. And it can only get worse, but you got to have that optimism.
Well, like you said, guys, guys are writing on the board. Guys are writing in other areas as well. We got our guy up here, Britsburg Owen. You got to check this guy out on YouTube. This guy's a phenomenal talent. He does a lot of things on YouTube, and most of all he does well is he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And he writes, "The Bucks don't scare me at all. Flores knows the Dolphins." And he also wrote on there earlier is that he said we lose. He said we lose to the Bills, beat the Bucks and the Dolphins, and lose to the Eagles. And you know what, James, I have to agree with him because number one, the Steelers have been notorious for having problems playing the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It seems like we don't scheme up well against the Philadelphia Eagles. So you got them coming up. That's going to be another rough game for the Steelers. And the fact that right now we're heading into Buffalo, which we're going to talk about a little later. But the fact is we're heading into Buffalo, and it's not a healthy squad. And the fact that we're heading in there already with the loss of TJ Watt. So now you got more guys that might be possibly down, and we all knew this. But that's why I loved it kind of somewhat when Tomlin used to always say next man up, because it's true. I mean, football is a physical sport, and you got to put the guys in there to play. If you're out there, you're making that money, you're on the squad, go out and play football, bro. I mean, that's what it's all about. And the fact is that the Steelers have been lacking that over the years. And is it playing the scheme, or is it putting the correct guys in the game at the times? Who knows? But the fact is the Steelers have been lacking that. And one thing we did talk about offline, a good example of that, Olszewski, or what's the name?
Gunnar
Olszewski.
Yeah.
It always throws me off. This guy was supposed to be
Olszewski. I think it just had a brain fart. Yeah, Gunnar Olszewski. It's the first time I got it right out of what, 4 or 5 shows. Olszewski. I gave him Olszewski. I'll get it right. And then as soon as I get it right, he's going to be gone. Steven Sims has proven himself as an up and coming punt returner. He's no slouch to the game when he played for Seattle Seahawks. Tremendous job up there. We had high hopes for Gunnar coming to Pittsburgh because he was that slot receiver that nobody cared about. Nobody wanted to cover because he never got the ball. But when he played for New England, he was somewhat not a superstar, but he no Edelman, but he did get the job done, and he got it done well. And when he came to Pittsburgh, we had nothing but hopes and aspirations for him. But right now, he's been a total letdown. And like, we don't trash people on the show. It is what it is. Stats don't lie. Video doesn't lie. If you're a punt returner, you fumble the punt. Why should you still be in there?
Yeah.
I mean, but when he does catch the ball, he creates havoc. But you got to catch the ball. That's a big thing. And just responding to Britsburg Owen about the Buccaneers, yeah, they don't scare me either. However, look at what the Jets offense and their receivers did to us. That kept us in the game, kept them in the game, and eventually beat us. Now you got Mike Evans coming back. You got Tom Brady, who is the GOAT, and doesn't matter. He's got Fortinet. I mean, our running rush attack is abysmal at best. And we're playing a pretty much a solid team at the Buccaneers. They got a great defense. I mean, they don't scare me, but after playing the Jets and seeing how their rookie quarterback came in there and did it with some, I want to say washed up receivers, but I wouldn't pick these guys in my fantasy team, and they're just totally dominating the middle. Plus their rookie tight end that they got. It's just, I mean, what they did to us and what the Buccaneers can do to us. Not scary, but I mean, you have to look at it. And like you said, the Eagles, they play us tough every year, no matter if we're undefeated and they have won a game, they still play us. It's the Battle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who we have at quarterback. The Eagles, like I said, they're all over us, brother. I mean, that's a tough team for us to play. They scheme up well against the Steelers, and we always have issues with them. But Pittsburgh, another good one is if Minkah is out and Edmonds is out, who plays at safety?
It's you, Sanders.
Yeah,
time to lace him up, pal.
Yeah,
get out there.
Who do the Steelers have left, brother? I mean,
well, we're gonna get Troy Polamalu out of retirement, and Mel Blount. We'll get him too. Donnie Shell, if you're out there listening, we'll grab you as well. Come on back, lace him up. I'm sure we'll love to have you there.
Well, let me ask you this. One of the things that I did hear Minkah was having certain knee issues, but it was day to day about what's going on with Minkah. But the fact is, with Edmonds is the fact that he's getting somewhat out of a concussion protocol. And will he be ready by game time? Who knows? They said it was a day to day type thing. But the thing about it is, like he said, you got a Steeler team that's running low on fuel, bro.
Right.
Running low on fuel, and not just running low on fuel and going to a team that's got a high octane offense.
Right. And we're talking about the Buffalo Bills now with their injury situation. It's kind of reversed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're starting to, lose people, and the Bills are starting to get their starters back. I mean, they were depleted with injuries, and they still came back and they still beat the Ravens. I mean, they were down 20-3 at one point, and they held the Ravens scoreless in the second half. And the Buffalo Bills, that no lose mentality it's the toughness. That's the kind of team that you want. Great head coaching and everything, all special teams all the way around. When you go into Buffalo Orchard Park playing a team like that, when you're on a downslide and you need that one spark, the only thing that positively can come out of this game, obviously, if we win it, that would be a great boost for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense and offense going forward. Special teams right now, they've been pretty much running this squad. Chris Boswell nailing the field goals when he can. Presley Harvin putting the teams deep and giving not great field position for the opposing teams. And pretty much right now, special teams is kicking ass, and everybody else is just following. Just trying to do what they can do. And this will be a big win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Any win's a big win, but right now we're down looking up. We're out looking in right now, but something like that is an actual positive.
Yeah.
But we touched base off show about Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know, you pronounce his name like that. And if you were living in a cave or on a rock, you don't know the situation. Sunday he's knocked out of the game. Briefly with an apparent concussion. They were calling it a back injury. And if you look at the video, I play a doctor on TV, folks, and I could tell you there's nothing wrong with his back. And he got up, stumbled to the ground twice, and he left the game and for concussion protocol. And somebody waved a magic wand around, and suddenly he's better at halftime. He comes out, plays the second half, and 4 days later he gets sacked. It was not that bad of a sack, and due to his concussion that we all know, come on, folks, that he sustained Sunday in a short week. Sanders, we talked about this offline, that you need time for that brain to heal, and what a concussion is, it's a bruised brain. When the brain is shaking inside the skull and it bangs in the skull, you have to have time for that swelling to go down and the pain. And if you don't let that concussion rest and get better in any kind of activity, running, jumping, and anything where their head movement is round and your brain's so sloshing in there, just just the slightest bang, bump, whatever is going to set that concussion off. It's horrible. And I guess we're reading stories, folks at home, that doctors are saying that he should retire after the severity of the second concussion, because obviously he seized up and they're not talking about it. You look at the video, it's horrifying to watch. His hands distorted, contorted in ways that God didn't make your hands to go. And it was just sad watching. And, a lot of people are angry at Prime TV for keep on showing it, and the family members and the fans who had to keep on watching it. It was horrible. You didn't have to show as much as you did, Prime. And that's
Well,
pretty sad.
You know what? That type of stuff sells. But the fact is, like I said, if I was him, that's a lot to think about. When you get concussed to that level, that's not where you see a guy get his bell rung and that's it or whatever, and he goes up to the sideline. This guy had to be taken off on a stretcher. This guy was in bad shape. This guy, did some things that scared people. So that's a lot to think about. And the fact is, being at the quarterback position, they got to be more. They got to be more knowledgeable than that. And I think that's going to cost a lot of people their jobs. That's going to cost that team a lot of money. And if that guy can't play football, you might as well call him the Tua Dolphins, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
but the fact is that Britt Spurgeon, I did see you up there earlier when you put that up. Norwood or Killebrew, playing back there as the safeties or whatever. Yeah, I'm with you on that, bro. Worrying, brother. It's gonna be a long day against the Bills if that ever happens, brother.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Hopefully we won't have to.
But here's the other thing. The other huge news that came out in Pittsburgh, and the fact is that we wanted to say sorry about that. I'm all over the place. Yeah. We want the fact that quarterback Mitch Trubisky. That's a huge thing we need to talk about. Mitch Trubisky did his time. Wasn't right the way they did it. They brought him in for a couple games. To be honest, I had no problem with it. Mitch Trubisky was a guy who we thought that might lead us. You had to give him a chance. You had to take the reins off him, but he had a younger guy waiting in the reins, Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett finally came out halftime of this game, which I thought was an okay move. Put him in. You're struggling, and he looked poised. Did he have 3 interceptions? 100%, I agree. A lot of guys are like, well, they had 3 interceptions or whatever. Yeah, he did. But the thing about it is, 2 of them were tipped. One was a Hail Mary. So the guy looked poised. The guy looked good. The guy completed passes where they needed to be. I loved what Kenny Pickett did in that game. Granted, it was a loss, but Kenny Pickett did enough for us to win that game, even with the interceptions.
Now, here's the thing. If you watch the game, last play of the game, I'm glad he threw it in the end zone. He didn't do that BS crap like the game before where, you throw the ball 7 yards and you do that flip flop and pitch patch and all that crap, and they ended up scoring a touchdown to make the score look a lot worse than what it was. I'm glad he aired it out. And if you look at the replay, Kenny Pickett threw that ball from our 42-yard line and almost out of the end zone.
Yeah.
So what does that say about his arm strength? And if we had some receivers down there who actually even tried, there were a bunch of Jets defenders back there who were. You look at the video. There's no Steeler back there. Had there been a Steeler wide receiver back there, I think we would have scored a touchdown and we would have won that game, obviously. But hey, you know what? I'm just glad he threw it in the end zone. Like you said, Sanders, 3 interceptions. That was the last one was the third one. And the other 2, Claypool, what the hell? I mean, when the ball's in your hands, you got to fight for that. You got to bring it in. That should have been a catch. And Freiermuth, I don't know, threw his hands too. I mean, why should the quarterback be penalized because the wide receiver can't catch the ball? And it's not like horrible throws. These were catchable balls.
Yeah,
they were.
Yeah.
And deflections, interceptions, quarterbacks should not be penalized for that.
Hey guys, I wanted to let you all guys know that our guest is on the line. I just wanted to see if she can hear me. If you wave at me, there, I got you. See, that's what the beautiful thing about TV.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Like I said, this is a treat for you guys. Get out your pens and papers. And it's a phenomenal guest that we have here because we want to bring her on tonight because she blessed us before by coming on the show and doing some great things with us when we were just on that. This was years ago when we were straight just radio. She came on, she did a phenomenal thing. But when you meet her and you learn a lot of things she does, she's not your everyday lady. She's very knowledgeable, and that's why we brought her on the show. So I'm going to introduce her right now with this clip right here. Renee Miller, a professor in the Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences at the University of Rochester. Young and beautiful and an avid fantasy sports player, which led to a total wow moment during a class where she was teaching on cognitive biases. Could the decision-making in fantasy football be subject to such biases? This led her to publish great books in 2013, Cognitive Bias in Fantasy Sports. Is your brain sabotaging your team? Dr. Miller had written analysis and advised articles for season-long and daily fantasy sports fans such as ESPN, RotoWire, RotoWiz, NBC Sports, RotoWorld, and also currently working for The Athletic and Yahoo Sports. Please put your hands together and welcome Renee Miller to Steeler Nation Live. Yeah.
That was so nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
What a great intro.
Hey, like I said, you know what? She's a phenomenal person, and you guys had to meet her, and so that's why we brought her on today. And she's like I said, when it comes down to it, Renee, just give us a little bit of synopsis about who you are.
You said it. I am science and sports. Those are my things. When I found a way to make them come together in a way that was exciting and invigorating for me and hopefully others that read and listen, I couldn't have been happier. So I teach neuroscience classes. I am professor at the University of Rochester. I advise students. I actually run a student fantasy league called the Brain Lovers League for fantasy football. And I, as you said, I write advice articles for a few different outlets, currently at Yahoo and The Athletic.
Yeah, that's one of the great things that I loved about you is the fact that you guys, you check her out on some of the things she writes, some of the outlets, such as like she says, The Athletic. And I was reading, and God, there's a lot of people out there that follow you and follow what you're saying out there. Because like I said, there's a lot of huge games going on out there. My partner over here, James, he's not the best in fantasy football, and he needs a lot of help. So I figured, what help can he get then from somebody out there, a master that's out there who knows how to do it?
Well, I just heard you guys talking, and I couldn't agree more about changing the rule. Let's change the rules so the quarterback doesn't get penalized for these interceptions that aren't his fault. That's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Oh yeah.
I also think in fantasy, wide receivers should get some of the credit for pass interference. Right?
How about another one with the quarterback, Renee, yards after the catch? So if I'm the quarterback and I throw the ball in the backfield to running back and he runs the ball 100 yards and scores a touchdown, now as a quarterback, I have a 100-yard passing touchdown.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel, right? Were you guys watching the other night? It happened time after time, right? It's like this 2-yard pass Garoppolo makes and gets credit for a 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah, well, we have guys like Trubisky actually throwing the ball down the field, and he's throwing for 137 yards a game, and that's pretty much 1 or 2 plays for Deebo Samuel. So I mean, it's crazy, it's insane.
Yeah. Now, Renee, let me ask you this. Now, there are a lot of things out there that's going around. Okay, with the NFL fantasy, there are a lot of people out there wondering. There's huge picks this week. At the quarterback position. I mean, what are some of the better picks out there you think for this upcoming week in the NFL?
I will be completely honest. I'm working on a story about concussions this week. So I have done a lot less fantasy prep than I normally do. because I've been really consumed with researching and getting quotes and getting to the, I know the neuroscience of concussion, but some of the neurological, and I've talked to some college players about some of the innovations that are taking place in the game to try to make it a little safer. So I am behind on my fantasy analysis. I know you guys have probably talked too much already about the Buffalo Steelers game this weekend. I actually said to my boyfriend, it's a lot of pressure going on this week, you know, on a Steelers podcast and in Buffalo land. I don't know what to say.
That's what it's all about, and that's what it all comes in. And actually, before you came on to the show tonight, we were talking offline and talking on the show just recently about the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Tua, and the fact of, like you said, when you just described that with the concussion. I don't know if you caught any of that where.
Oh, I caught it all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
What is it? What is that thought process? I mean, you know what? After getting his bell rung by the Buffalo Bills,
Yeah.
put back in a game. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people can't figure out what was the thought process of putting this guy back in for the next game. I mean, it's not a great look really right now in the NFL.
No, it sure isn't. And, you know, a lot of it, the players have to take responsibility for their own health and advocate for their own safety. And everything I'm hearing is that, you know, Tua was pushing hard to be put back in the Bills game and to play on Thursday night. And everyone at this level is a competitor. Nobody wants to let their team down. Nobody wants to let a division game slip by. So, I get the competitive spirit and respect the competitive spirit, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's not the player that necessarily knows what's in their best interest. And, you know, it maybe the simplest point is that after you get your bell rung and you're concussed, you're not making the best decisions. It's part of the definition of a concussion is, you know, your cognition is affected and you're not making the smartest decisions. So it really comes to the coaches, the teammates, the team doctors to make the right call.
Right.
Now,
And preserve him for the next 5 years. You know,
Right.
winning
Now-
one game today is going to look pretty stupid if he can't play for the next 5 years, right?
now, reports have come out from Dr. Bennett Amalu, who was a guest on Steeler Nation Live after the movie came out, Concussion. We had him on the show, and he is he's requesting that Tua should retire because of the state of his from what he sees or seen as a doctor. This is his baby. This is what he does for a living, and to see all the things leading up to what can possibly be, you know what I'm saying? You got to listen. You got to listen to the doctor. You can't listen to the doctor when it's convenient for you.
Yeah.
You know, just like you said, I mean, we're all competitors, and in the concussion, you're not thinking properly. I can get in there. You got your players. Come on, man, you can do this. You got the fans. Hey, what are we paying you all this money for? You're fine. Get back in there. But these are 90% of the people we're telling them to do. They probably never had a concussion. I had concussions in my day, and I know what the symptoms are. I know how it feels, and it's not the best thing in the world. But on a short work week, I call it, from Sunday to Thursday, and you're not getting the treatment because you're not being taken care of properly.
Because they didn't diagnose the concussion on Sunday.
Exactly. I think they knew what it was, but the diagnosis that they gave was a back injury is ridiculous. I mean, I play a doctor on TV, and I know that there was no back injury, and for some guy to rumble, bumble, and stumble and to be helped up, that's a concussion all day long.
Yeah, that's brain. And the aftermath of his second hit on the Thursday night game basically confirmed that unusual fencing posture.
Right.
Gesture. That's actually not, it was terrifying to see, I think. And actually, I hope that fear factor might cause some players and coaches and doctors and fans to take this issue a little more seriously. But that issue, that posture, really is just further proof that the original injury was a brain injury. So
Right.
that's
And unfortunately, they all say this is a business and they're paying him a lot of money.
Mhm.
And, he's a football player, which is, I don't want to say this term is indispensable because, one quarterback goes down, another one pops up. And that's why we have drafts. That's why we have college football, high school football, peewee football, because the main goal is to make it to the NFL and win a Super Bowl. And if somebody gets hurt, they can be replaced. If you don't want to play, you want to do what we're telling you, we'll replace you. And it's unfortunate. All the other former NFL players who committed suicide due to CTE, and the only way, and as a doctor, a PhD, that the only way you can, see if this was actually because of that CTE is the person has to be deceased.
Right.
And it's something that you cannot discover while somebody is alive. And it's unfortunate, but if you want to live a prosperous and, a fruitful life from here on out, yeah, we understand football is your life, but you know what? Think about that. Football is your life. You need a life to play
Yeah.
football. And
Right.
if you're not healthy, then what's football going to do for you? You know what I mean? It's a double-edged sword.
From a research standpoint, one of the exciting things that I think is going on is really a search for an on-field biomarker, a indisputable test that can say
Oh,
there's a
wow.
brain injury, concussion, mild traumatic brain injury, and then a similar kind of biomarker test that you can use to say when somebody's recovered, because the period of recovery is very different, individual to individual and injury to injury. It might be 1 week this time and 3 weeks the next time. So
Right.
the markers that we have, the criteria that we have to diagnose concussion and to tell when somebody's recovered are, I think, too subjective and can be manipulated. And I think that's what happened in this case. But
and when you say manipulated, that says right there, money. You take that word manipulated and you turn it into the word money. And that's all that's being said, because you know what, at the end of the day, people don't, I know it sounds mean and harsh, but at the end of the day, it's a business. People don't care. They want production. And if you got a boo-boo and you don't want to play whatever, then we'll find somebody else. But they don't know the underlying facts of what's going on. We're paying all this money. You need to get out there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's sad.
I looked pretty hard on some of the NFL web pages, player health and safety, for any educational materials about concussion. And all I could find was the return to play criteria. Like, these are the tests you need to pass to get back on the field. Not, this is what's happening in your brain and why it's important to eat and rest and, do mild exercise, but here's how you can get back on the field.
Yeah, it's more of like, okay, how can we mask this and how can we cover up this so you can get out there and just don't get hit?
Yeah,
And then they put
culture.
you in a little blue tent or whatever that they just, like, you're going camping and then you're going to diagnose whether somebody has concussion or not, to go back in. It's mind boggling that nobody is saying anything. It's just, everybody is passing the buck. It's not my job. It's just, and everybody's just looking the other way. Like the players, they know that he's hurt, but then again, they want to win. So are we going to win if he's on the sidelines? Or come on now, he can play another quarter. He could, we'll protect more for him.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's one of the things too. I was thinking as well, is the fact of we talked about concussions, and we talked about it earlier in the show too as well. And we have a specialist here, which is great. But the fact is, in gearing a little bit towards Pittsburgh, I don't know if you remember Antonio Brown. He was concussed a while ago, and the going thing out there right now is that he said, because of that concussion from that point, they think that's when a lot of problems had started for Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
And when you talk about a cognitive bias and different things like that now, and I was reading your bio and I was reading things like that, and I thought I was reading The Matrix or something like that. But compared to, we're nuts and bolts guys, but I found it interesting in the fact of how vast and how deep that you dive into that type of research, the fact of the studying of that, the cognitive mind, and the fact that there are a lot of guys out there who we just talked about. Tua, that was, if that doesn't bring anything to the surface, what happened with him, and like you said, that spasmodic thing, just to watch that on TV that day, that scared me. You know,
Yeah,
and I don't scare that that really scared me because
Yeah.
I thought I was watching this guy die on the field.
exactly. Yeah. So right, I'm hoping that the fear factor actually works in the favor of, you know, even having teammates that say, you know what, man, I don't think I want you to end up like Tua. Maybe you shouldn't play the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer, and I'm sorry, Nate.
I know.
I'm being advocate. Okay, I'm being devil's advocate, and you know everything you're saying, everything Sanders is saying is absolutely right. But then you got to think of reality. It's a game. People want to win at all costs. They don't care. And at the end of the day, if people are standing, that's great. If not, we'll just replace you and move on. And it's unfortunate because the people who are doing all that are not the ones getting hurt.
Yeah,
100%.
very true.
Hey.
No, I always have an optimistic outlook. I found pretty much everything. I prefer to live that way, but you're right. The reality is there's not a lot of incentive for the culture to change. I do believe there's a way for the game that we all love to be played in a safer way that doesn't impact financial, you know, incentives for players or, you know, career possibilities, like that you can't get replaced just because you're out sick, just like in any other job, you know.
Right.
If I am in a car accident and have a concussion, I don't have to teach my classes for a couple weeks, and also I don't get fired for my replacement. You know,
and that's right. That's a good thought process. I mean, she's real. That's fact, honest truth. You know.
So what another big problem is, Renee, that me personally, what I'm seeing in the NFL is the NFL is working really hard. I got to give them that. They're trying to make it a safer and more accommodating atmosphere for the players.
Right.
On the other side of the coin, they're doing more training. The players are faster. They're not as big. They hit harder. They do more. There's more techniques on there, more drills, more exercises to make them stronger, not so big. And so it's kind of like a yin yang. It's kind of like, you know, you're making everything safe, but then you're making everything powerful. So who's going to win this battle? I mean, you know, if you look back in the day, like the days of the Jack Lamberts and the Meade Joe Greens, those guys were huge and they hit. Okay. Imagine if they had the techniques and the skills of today there'd be a lot of deaths on the field. Not to be funny, but
no, you're right.
Yeah, and they had helmets made of leather, and I mean they had a lot less equipment too.
Right.
Safety equipment. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a win-lose situation. I mean, yes, you're being safe, but at that time, it's like building a car. You know, you're building the cars faster and stronger, and when you get in accidents, there's more death, but you're making them faster and, you know, and stronger.
More exciting.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
There you go. That's what the NFL is. That need for that speed, that need for, you know,
and win at all costs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Renee, like I said, phenomenal. This is one of the guests. Like I said, guys. Hey, Renee, before we let you go, tell everybody how they can, you know, watch some of your work or catch up with some of your work, because I know you're out there on Twitter as well.
Sure. Twitter at Renee Miller 01. And you can find, I write a weekly piece on Yahoo Sports that comes out on Tuesdays, and for The Athletic that normally comes out on Wednesdays with some fantasy advice in it. But this week it will be a piece on concussion, this whole concussion and the second hit syndrome that we didn't touch on, but that'll be out Friday.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right. Check it out.
Now, let me ask you this, Renee, before we let you go, because you're obviously you're a very, very busy woman.
Oh, yeah.
Does your boyfriend, is he playing in any fantasy leagues? B, do his constituents or friends know who you are? And do they let him in the league anyways? And 3, is it unfair?
We met through fantasy sports. So he's also does fantasy sports analysis and works for a daily fantasy sports website, Roto Grinders.
Oh, okay.
So
all right. Well,
if you've played daily fantasy, you know Roto Grinders. He works for them doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff and writing articles about how to use their tools and how to apply them to the daily baseball, football, and basketball sites. So he's just as competitive and into this all as I am. And that's in fact how we met.
All right. Leads up to another question, a follow-up question. So do you guys go head to head? Do you actually compete against each other? And what's the win-loss between you and him?
Oh, that's one I don't know the answer to. But so yeah, we have a family league. My sister, my brother, one of my sons, both of my nephews, my dad. So we have a family league, and I am terrible in it. It's my worst league. 2 years run for 2 years, and I'm just awful. So yes, Eric and I both played each other 2 weeks ago. We both had the lowest scores in the league, and he beat me. I had the lowest score. He had the second lowest score. So we were both terrible, but I was more terrible.
All right. So that cancels my phone call to you after the show about my lineup for this week. So
no, I
you
mean,
just saved me some
I'm
time.
good in other leagues. I'm going 3-1, 4-0. And if I lose, it's that one.
Yeah, wow.
Wonderful.
That's what it's all about.
So disappointing, Renee. I thought we're gonna get you on the show and I'm gonna win this week. Renee's gonna hook me up, but
what's your
Hey,
biggest
man.
decision this week?
She said, check her out on the Athletic or Yahoo Sports.
okay, let me ask you one question. Keenan Allen, what's the scoop on him? I have him on my bench. He's day to day. You're shaking your head no.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to trust. And it's always that way with older players that have soft tissue injuries. I'm always nervous. It's like, I'll say, if I have a better option,
Yeah.
don't push it.
He's done squat for me this year. I'm
Yep.
2-2, and I'm not
just
happy.
the risk of re-injuring a hamstring or a groin or one of those kind of soft tissue injuries is pretty high. And the older you get, the greater the risk. So
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done.
I would say if
I
you're
told you.
getting by without him, I would try to get by with him.
All right. Well, all right. That's good. That's good, positive advice that I'm going to take. Thank you, Renee.
Hey, Renee, like I said, guys, phenomenal having our guest on tonight, Renee Miller. Much appreciation for stopping by Steeler Nation Live. Guys, check her out. Make sure you check her out on Yahoo Sports, The Athletic. Also, Renee, plug your book again that you got out there.
Sure. It's available through my Twitter bio or on gumroad.com. You can search for it. Cognitive Bias in Fantasy Sports is your brain sabotaging your team. The examples are very funny. There's Tim Tebow references in there because I wrote it in 2013.
Right.
so it's like a little bit of blast from the past, but all of the
damn Tim
cognitive
Tebow.
issues apply just as well today.
All right, guys. Again, James.
Yeah.
Renee Miller. Thanks
Great.
a lot. We appreciate you
Fantastic.
for stopping by Steeler Nation Live.
A
Take
little
care,
bit of
Renee.
good luck to you guys this weekend, but mostly I'm team Go Bills. So
You know what? I love how she
Do it.
says it at the end of the show.
Do it for one weekend,
Parting
Renee.
shots.
Come on, one.
All right, Renee. Great seeing you. And thank
Good
you for
luck, Kenny
stopping by.
Pickett.
We'll see ya. Wow.
Thank
what,
you.
what a great guest.
Oh, yeah. She's phenomenal, man.
She is. She is. I got
like I said, you know, she knows it. She's not just an everyday pretty face. This is a young lady that's
just like you.
well in depth. Exactly. You see that? Exactly.
Yeah, I saw that.
But the
Yes.
fact is, she's somebody who's got it all upstairs, and it's a phenomenal talker to her. She, like I said, she writes on a lot of sports outlets. You got to check her out. Now, James, you know what? Before she jumped on, and we were talking real quick about actually we have a call coming in as well. So I'm gonna try to grab that call real quick as we get to it. So give me 1 second here. Here we go. I believe. Let's see if we can get to this call. Hold on, caller. Let's see. There we go. All right. Who do we got on the line on Steeler Nation Live?
You got the one and only San Fran Steve.
Oh Jesus! What's the time out there in San Fran? We don't want to know. But
Well, I can tell you it's still about 6:45 in Rochester.
well, that's nice. San Fran come up with a big win the other night against those Super Bowl. I don't want to say champions, but they won it. I mean, they're playing worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers. But San Fran Steve, welcome to the show. We always love when you call in. How's it going?
It's going. Sorry, I'm a little late. I was too busy cleaning the boat today before I put it away. So we say got a chance to call in. Hey, listen, your last caller, your special guest,
Right.
outstanding. And no matter what she says, James, she ain't gonna be able to help you win your fantasy at all.
Look, I can. Well, this Nif Nod sitting next to me, he's not going to help me. In fact, he bailed this year, so he's not even in it. So I don't even know what he's talking about.
Hey, can't do
But
it this
you know,
year.
I'm 2-2. I'm looking pretty good. I mean, it's not out of the woods for me yet. But I like Renee said, I got those guys on the bench with them soft tissue injuries, and I mean, big name players with big 0 scores. I mean, you're probably listening, so you know we're playing the Buffalo Bills. Wait, let's backtrack against the Jets. Your take on our game versus the Jets in the fact that we finally took Trubisky out, put in Pickett. Was it too little, too late, or was that the right time to take him out?
Well, you and I talked about this on Monday night at playing ball, and I just think that, first of all, watching part of the game, switching back and forth from watching the Bills and getting destroyed in the first half and coming back, I think your quarterback at the time, Trubisky, he would hit the receivers, and the receivers don't want to catch the balls that he's throwing to them. So I think the offensive line wasn't there for him. His receivers definitely weren't there for him. I think the guy has talent, but you know what? There's a new era. You guys want to start your rookie quarterback against the number 1 defense in the league. It'd be a rough day for him, you know.
But that builds championships right there. That builds champions. You know what I mean?
And I understand that you guys really want to pick it, but I just hope your fans are ready for a rebuild year. That something you guys haven't had to do in 15 years.
He's 100% right.
I call it restructuring. I don't like that rebuilding.
Restructuring.
Restructuring. You know, moving this part to that part.
Restructuring is something that a business does. Like we're going to take
we're
Costco, and we're going to change everything.
No, we're a business. We're a business. It's a business.
Right.
Football's a business.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But as I was telling you guys, the other night, is just like I think you guys made a couple of mistakes by not going after offensive linemen to protect your in the second and third round to protect your quarterback.
Well, don't worry. Next draft, you're going to get a corner, first round, or safety. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, you don't need a safety. You got one of the best. You got one of the best in the league that you got for a steal a couple of years ago.
That's what I'm saying. See what I'm saying?
But like you said, we got to build that line, man. He's 100% right. Hey, San Fran, you know, I want to ask you about what do you think about your 49ers? What do you think what their chances are this weekend? I was trying to look it up to see who the 49ers play.
Hopefully Bishop Carney might get
Friday. Come on, James. I'm giving your team some. I'm giving your team some love.
I know. Garoppolo. He's in there. He's doing a great job. I mean, his stats are getting a little, you know, with Debo.
He's still a 10-yard. He's still a 10-yard pass and dump, and hopefully he has Debo that will run 50 yards again, just like he did the last.
He ends up throwing for almost 400 yards, but the completion rate was under 6 yards a catch. But anyways, we talked about Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, Steve, and it's no secret to the NFL and fans. Right now, Dr. Umala, who created the movie Concussion from Pittsburgh, who is big on coming out with the CTE, and you've been around the world. You know, I mean, you've experienced personal experience with concussions. You're a football fan. Do you think this is the time for Tua to retire? Is it too soon? Is he being misdiagnosed by, should this doctor not say he should retire with the concussions? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think the person's health is number one. I think you sit him down for possibly the rest of the season, see what happens. Look, we lost some great quarterbacks throughout the years with concussions. We'll go with my favorite, Steve Young.
Right.
We'll go with we'll go with his nemesis, Troy Aikman.
Right.
Both in their primes, and they both came down and I am not a doctor, but as a fan of football, not of the Dolphins, but as a fan of football, I think you should sit this kid and see what really happens to see if there's any long-term effects.
Yeah, I mean they
Agreed.
have who's the backup, Bridgewater, I think, for the Dolphins, and there's always Ryan Fitzpatrick out there, and Patrick Fitzryan. They could always call him up. I'm pretty sure he's willing to come, leave the booth for a minute or two to to school these young guys, because I mean I'm a big fan of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, just watching his mannerisms when he commentates football games. This is one smart guy, and he knows his stuff. And I don't think he would hesitate for a second to go back and lace up the cleats and get down there and get back in Miami just to and help out those lads. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. The fact that they paid him gazillion dollars to play, they signed him extended contract, whatnot. But it doesn't mean nothing if he's not playing. He's not out there producing. So in his life, yes,
Well,
his life is very important.
I think you let him sit until he's feeling healthy and everything else. And you know what? You get with the tools that they have on those teams, you could bring the Manning brothers off of Monday Night Football and go play for the Dolphins, and they're going to throw up numbers like there's no tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
mean, Sanders could, like I said, he could go back there and
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Give it a leather helmet, brother.
there you go, pal.
Hey, let me ask you this. Give me a score on the game with the Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. So we got to write it down.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm not sure you're going to be happy with me, but I think it's going to be like
Listen,
you know what? The only thing you got going right now is Buffalo. They have the front seven. They just who knows what's going on with Poyer. He hurt his ribs in the last play, or the one he got the interception on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
And
know
I'm
what
not
you're
sure
talking
if you're
about.
going to.
Yes, I know exactly
I'm
what
not
you're
sure,
talking about.
and I'm not sure if you're going to see. I don't think Tre'Davious White's coming back until after the
Steeler
bye,
game.
or maybe next week.
Yep.
that doesn't matter.
After the Steeler game, or possibly after the they're going to play for Kansas City. They might bring him back too quick from an ACL from at Thanksgiving time last year.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be like, and no, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just think that this young quarterback's going to see things he's never seen before, especially coming on both sides. You got Von Miller on one side and that Greg Russo on the other side.
Right.
I think it's going to be like a 38. I think it's 38-10.
38-10.
Yeah.
All right. Put
That's-
that down.
And if I'm wrong, James can yell at me all day long Friday or Monday when we play ball, because I'll see him for 3 hours on Monday. So
Make sure you wear those sexy leggings. the pink ones
you know
with
what?
the sparkles.
And if I am wrong, you could bring Steeler knee highs, and I'll wear those. I don't care.
All right. Well, I know how you like your knee
Steeler
highs.
socks,
I know how you like that.
over the calves. Yeah, over the calves.
That's what she said.
Hey,
But,
my brother, like I said, phenomenally what you call it, man. We appreciate you calling us tonight, brother.
San
All right, you
Fran
guys take care, and,
Steve in the house. Thank
you
you,
guys-
buddy.
All right, you guys take care. Talk to you
All
later.
right. Yeah. San Fran Steve calling in.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, guys. And like we said, you know what, this concussion thing, people don't realize how big it is, and how how the concussion thing affects. We all we want to do is we want to see wins. We want to see, like you said, you don't think about the actual player. We've
Right.
interviewed
They
a lot
have
of players on the
families.
show.
They have kids. They
Yeah.
have wives. But
And a lot of careers ended of it, like you said, Steve.
Aikman,
Aikman,
Young.
Young.
Who knows?
all
Who
ended.
knows the other players who retired, who were experiencing Mark Malone, possibly,
Yeah.
ex Pittsburgh Steeler. Neil O'Donnell. He must have had like 10 concussions during that Super Bowl.
appeared
We
that
don't
way.
want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But anyways,
But
that's a reasonable score, Sanders. And you know what? And as respectful as San Fran Steve was, he was pretty much accurate. My score, Sanders, it's going to be a walk. It's going to be a blowout. And folks at home, if you're a Steeler fan, don't hold this against us. I'm predicting 41-14 Buffalo over Pittsburgh. And any other outcome, it's going to be a miracle, because right now Buffalo's getting healthier. We're not. And the way the Buffalo Bills have been playing since the end of last year, I mean, this team is on a train to Super Bowlville. And we're just going to be a speed bump. We did beat them last year, first game of the season, like we kind of did with the Bengals this year. That's our only victory. But 41-14, Sanders, and I'm sorry, folks at home, that's reality.
Yeah. I'm looking for a score of something similar to that. I'm looking more a little bit down more. I'm looking like a 28-10 type score with the Bills just scoring a touchdown each quarter, and it one of them might be off an interception. This is a young guy, young quarterback. He's going to be getting a lot of pressure because a lot of teams. What's the first thing you need to do? You need to force the young quarterback to beat you. Granted, the Steelers defense as of late, young quarterbacks, they've been allowing themselves to get torched, but a lot of that's because we got a lot of injuries. And plus we got a defense that's been on the field all day long from more or less 3 and outs. The big letdown to me really was the Jets game where they allowed themselves to get driven on late in that game, which the young quarterback did find ways to pull it out where the Steelers could have won, and the defense let them down. And there's a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I believe the Steelers probably have 5 to almost 6 players that's going to be out on defense, and that hurts a lot. And possibilities of Minka being out, possibilities of Edmonds being out again. Steelers have to face that. And now you're going into a high potent offense, and the Steelers have to find ways to do it. So, James, like I said, I'm looking for that like a 28-10 type game. And but Pickett will be the guy that they will go towards. And seeing some writing on the boards is if you guys have been playing Pickett, he would have been ready now for the Bills. Hey,
That's a lot of
I don't know. It's a possibility.
But yeah, we really haven't touched. We didn't have a chance to touch base on that due to our special guest Renee Miller. Check her out, folks. You have all the information. Go to our website. That Kenny Pickett comes in the game cold. Now, no reps with the first team, no snaps with the first team, and he went in there and he pretty much did what he had to do to show this team that he's got what it takes to take over the reins. The Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback position. So, I mean, he's taking first reps now. Obviously, Trubisky's been real helpful. I mean, it's a team effort, but we just hope for the best. Expect the worst and hope for the best, folks.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Hey, guys, we reached the end of the show. Unbelievably, it went fast.
Fast show.
You know what? Another show in the books here on Steeler Nation Live from your boy Sanders Tisdale.
James Owen.
Special guest Renee Miller. Thanks for stopping by Steeler Nation Live. If you want to go and know how to think with the cognitive side of things, she's the young lady to do it. And also, Steelers' huge game this weekend, Sunday versus the Buffalo Bills. We're looking for a massacre, but let's hope that, for some ungodly reason that doesn't end up that way, James.
I haven't heard that since 1972. Massacre.
So we see you guys Tuesday, 7 p.m. This is a Wednesday special night, so we're doing it Tuesday, 6 p.m. 6 to 7 on Steeler Nation Live. Back at you.